we move on to the next chaupai. We are slowly reaching towards the end of this glorious journey through Hanuman Chalisa. और देवता चित्त न धरे, हनुमत से सब सुख करे. One need not entertain any other deity for propitiation, as devotion to Sri Hanuman alone can bestow happiness, ananda. We human beings have endless desires and aspirations, and so we struggle very hard to fulfill them. But soon we realize that we do not have the requisite strength or resources, and so we turn to those whom we think are more powerful than us for their expertise and resources, only to discover that they too have their limitations. And then finally, as per the Love is God session, we turn towards God. There are different deities who, when propitiated, it is said that they will fulfill the different desires of the devotees. When we turn to Kubera, when we need for wealth, to Mother Saraswati for knowledge and wisdom, to the Ashwini Kumaras for health, etc., etc. However, the one who does not worship all other deities but focuses on Hanumanji alone with fixed mind and firm faith will have all their desires fulfilled. For in him, in Hanuman, reside all the powers that are variously distributed amongst the gods. It is said that the Devas and the Devis, as well as the demons, with folded hands, show reverence to Hanumanji. Then what to say of so many kings, so many other human beings who are afflicted with some pain or the other? Now there are two aspects to it. Rather, one aspect. This और देवता चित्त न धरे, taken with the broader perspective, it is all about concentration of mind. Don't run here and there. Don't allow your wayward mind to travel in all directions for satisfaction, for happiness, sukh. Develop intense concentration of mind, single pointed devotion, we said na, in the Bhakti Yoga. Develop single pointed concentration of mind by, here it says Hanuman, at a broader perspective, it says initially on a chosen form. It helps you to bring the power of concentration of mind to its full potency. And then it will lead to the ultimate sukh, in the sense that power of concentration, that intense focus on chosen God, ultimately merges you in that God. And you and the God, they are replaced by what? Sab sukh kare. Ultimate ananda is attained, is experienced. This is the broader perspective. So from focusing on one idol, one God, to expansion to reach to that ultimate ananda is the subject of today's sharing at broader level. Tulsidas ji explains the importance of mental concentration through idol worship, through focusing on one chosen deity through this chopai. Our sages have explained the need for simple, practical, intelligent, and classical idol worship in order to purify the human mind of the world and to develop one's physical, cultural, and spiritual development. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, there is a sutra which says Eka Tattva Abhyasa. This Eka Tattva Abhyasa can be interpreted to be any kind of object, provided this is provided is an important point, provided that there is no other object attracting our attention. Though in a way the universal is that which is inclusive of all particulars, and therefore it may appear that to concentrate on the universal would be equivalent to concentrating on the background of every particular conceivable. Nevertheless, the characteristics of the universe can be visualized even in a particular object. Or devata chittana darahi. This is the significance of idol worship. The aim of today's talk is not to advocate only idol worship, but to stress on the fact that to begin with, for novice sadhaka, spiritual aspirants, it helps a lot in developing and purifying the mind's concentration. The universal is anything which is free from externality, and it is the presence of the consciousness of an external that becomes the cause of distraction in the mind. We have always a sense of fear and insecurity if there is something else external to us. Whatever it may be a person, it may be even an object, inanimate object. The existence of something outside us is the cause of anxiety of some kind or the other, and that is distraction. The very consciousness of anything external or outside oneself is identical with distraction, which is the opposite of concentration of mind. The preventing of this distraction implies the absence of consciousness of anything outside it. All the consciousness is me only, there is nothing outside. In the beginning stages, for the purpose of new evolving sadhakas, absolutely unfamiliar with this subject, that there can be nothing outside me, what is prescribed is a conceptual form of the ideal that one would regard as the highest possible. And this is the philosophy behind the worship of the gods of religions. And this is the philosophy behind, it is not the worship of many gods, but the worship of any aspect of one God, which can be taken as the means to the realization of that all-inclusive background of these various manifestations called gods, plural. We have a subtle distractedness in our mind on account of the presence of an absence of friendliness with things. This absence of friendliness will cut at the root of all the yogic practice, because yoga is the attempt to contact ultimate reality. Yoga is union. It is not a mere social contact that we are trying here, but a contact of utter being, the basic reality that is in everything. So, there is a requisition for a complete transformation of our personality, inwardly as well as outwardly, even on the unconscious level, so that we get attuned to the structure of anything and everything in the world under every condition. There is nothing personal in us if we become genuine seekers of the truth. We become like crystal, which has no color of its own and appears to have a color of everything that comes near it. Ultimately, there is absolute harmony in the creation. And this harmony is nothing but the attunement of things with one another and the basic relatedness of things, rather than the so-called irreconcilability that is visible outside. The moment the mind concentrates on this fact, bereft of all inward distractions and tensions, there is an automatic summoning of the essential nature of things outside. And they all come to us rather than our becoming unfriendly with them. It is possible to concentrate the mind on an object merely on the surface level, though at the bottom there may be a feeling of irreconcilability that will not lead to success. We may be praying to God through an image in a temple and yet have a suspicion in the mind that we are praying only to an idol made of stone. This suspicion will spoil our devotion. After all, I am praying to a small stone image. How will this bring fulfillment of my wish or the satisfaction of my desires? This suspicion will shake the very foundation of devotion, and religion will become merely a ritual. That is what is happening mostly. Our religion, our practice, our devotion, all becomes a kind of dead routine which has no life in it. And all the efforts of life seem then to bring nothing fruitful. We are neither scientific in our attitude, nor logical, nor religious, nor spiritual. There is basically a kind of hypocritical attitude which is covered under a camouflage of a necessity of practical life, which takes all our time, and we may spend our entire life in this attitude to the things, ending in nothing finally. The main point to be remembered here is that while concentrating on any object, no external thought should be allowed, because the thought of an external object is the distraction which prevents concentration. The mind cannot be wholly present in the given object if there is another thing side by side or along with it. When we think of two things at the same time, because of the presence of another thing outside that given object, the devotion is split. The force of the mind gets diminished on account of channelization of the mental energy in two directions. That is why for this single concentrated devotion on one chosen deity, here in this chopa it is Hanuman, on any one deity, Tulsidas ji says, Aur devata chittana dharahi. What is essential in the beginning is to diminish the directions in which the mind moves to the minimum possible. Though it may not be possible to bring the mind to a single point immediately, we can bring it to the minimum possible number of items of concentration to start with. This is the purpose of satsanga, listening to the discourses of spiritual and philosophical nature, study of sacred scriptures, swadhyaya, and etc. And for those who are blessed with intense concentration of mind, also meditation. With the aid of any of the above, the mind can be brought within the circumference of a given purpose. This practice should be continued for a long time until it becomes possible to reduce the size of the circumference. Listeners should go back to the Ramakrishna's story cited in a talk in Southern on the bull, how the bull is tamed, how the circumference is reduced gradually. The fencing circumference. The ideas become less and less in number, so that we will be able to get on only with few thoughts throughout our day. There is no need to think 100 thoughts, because it is not the number of thoughts that is important, but their quality. We may be thinking of 1,000,000 things in a shallow manner, which may not lead to success. But when we think of only few things in a very deep and profound way, that type of thinking will be more beneficial in the long run. What can be useful for today's dynamic idolatry, which lasts from morning till evening to strengthen our mind? Will today's devotional activities ending in bhog, arati and prasad remove the thoughts and disorders and purify the mind? We should consider all these things. Image worship is full of amazing power to begin with. It is not only a means of the primary stage, but it is a priceless path leading to the climax of spirituality through a process where ultimately neither the Bhakta nor the Bhagavan remain. What is concentration of mind? Generally, the common belief is that the name of looking at any object with one eye is the concentration of the mind. But if the concentration of mind has such a limited meaning, then is it possible to develop life in it? Mind is the basis of self-development. Mind concentration is not physical, it is mental. Because the size of the mind in which the concentration is to be received by the mind only. In other words, the mind creates the shape. Therefore, if the mind assumes the shape of a full-fledged idol, then only the qualities of the idol can be transmitted to the mind. How wonderful! The sages have shown the path of worship, image worship, and through it, the path of mind concentration to change the mind. When the mind itself takes the shape of an idol, it is called concentration. When Meera did not exist as Meera, she existed as Krishna. Such concentration should last longer. When the mind will take the form of an idol, then only the qualities of the idol god will be transferred in the mind. As a result, the mind will be rendered pure. Every night in the deep sleep, God has given us such an experience and teaches us how to get a subjective happiness experience, inward experience. Imagine in a deep sleep, we get the same happiness as absolute happiness. The meaning of sleep is only that. We want to forget everything. Nothing remains in sleep. Neither money, nor relationships, nor home, not even the I ego. All this goes away. Only then sleep comes. We do not eat or drink anything in sleep. We do not accumulate any power in sleep. We do not fulfill any desire in sleep. Yet we remain happy. By throwing away all things, you can be blissful. To teach us this, God has spared us sleep for us. To get the same subjective happiness in the waking state, for the mind concentration to get the same happiness, image worship becomes necessary to begin with. The human mind becomes like that which it contemplates. One who contemplates the nectar by saying Amritosmi attains nectar. A man becomes a Shiva by cohabitation with Shiva. A man who stabilizes his mind in the form of God becomes verily that God. There is a legend in Ramayana, it goes like this. Sita Mata was sitting lost in thought under the Ashoka tree. At that time, Trijata goes to her and asks, "What are you thinking, Mata?" Sita replies, "What if I become Rama by constantly thinking of Rama? This is my worry. If I become Rama, then how will I perform my dharma as wife to Rama? Trijata, who listened to it, had the earnestness and the devotion to answer perfectly. And this is an answer for all of us. Trijata says, this is your problem, isn't it? Then you have no need to worry. Sita asks, how? Trijata answers, just as you think of Rama here, similarly Rama would be thinking of you there. As a result, Rama will become Sita and you will become Rama. The Bhagavan will become Bhakta and the Bhakta will become Bhagavan. As ever, as usual, our sage from Ananda Kutir comes to teach us on any subject whatsoever in metaphysics, in philosophy, in spirituality. He says, a gross mind needs a concrete symbol as a prop or an alambana. A subtle mind requires a abstract symbol. Even a Vedantin has the symbol of Om for fixing the wandering mind. In the beginning, concentration on meditation is not possible without a symbol. The devotee superimposes on a concrete idol the Lord and the Lord's attributes. The Bhakta performs Shodashopachara for the idol, the 16 kinds of paying respects to the Lord, such as Padhyam, water for washing feet, Arghyam, Asana, seat, Snana, bathing the Lord, offering cloths, Achamana, water for sitting, applying sandal paste, offering flowers, Archana, burning incense, waving of lights and camphor, Mahanevedhyam, etc. The wandering mind is fixed now in this form of worship. The aspirant gradually feels the nearness of the Lord. He attains a purity of heart and slowly annihilates his egoism. This is the purpose of idol worship, to develop intense concentration of the mind initially on a chosen idol and ultimately culminating in the fulfillment of concentration to such an extent that the prop, the alambana, the idol goes, the concentration remains, so where he can take off directly to the meditation, nididhyasana on the Swarupa Lakshana of God, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. For a bhakta or a sage, there is no such thing as jada or insentient matter. Everything is Vasudeva. Chaitanya Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. The devotee beholds actually the Lord in the idol. Narsi Mehta was put to a test by a Raja. The Raja said, "O Narsi, if you are a sincere devotee of Lord Krishna, if you say the idol is Lord Krishna himself, let the idol move. According to the prayer of Mehta, the idol moved. The sacred bull Nandi before the Shiva's idol took the food offered by Tulasidas ji. The Murti played with Mirabai. It was full of life and Chaitanya for us. The sadhaka is thus taken step by step to higher stages of devotion and samadhi or communion through the worship of the idol. Though he worships the idol, he has to keep before his mental eye the all-pervading Lord. He has to feel his presence in his heart and all objects. The ways and roles of worship, puja vidhi, and the secrets of worship that are described in the Hindu scriptures are scientifically accurate and highly rational. Devotees of any chosen deity, Krishna or Sai, they should feel that every form is the form of their chosen God, idol. They should not change this bhava or mental attitude, even if a murderer appears before them to kill them. If they are established in this bhava, the nature of the murderer will be changed, or some other man may take on the murderer. If the bhava changes, they should cultivate the bhava again and again. When you have created a strong mental image of your Lord in the mind by continuous practice of meditation on one form, you should not disturb the mental image by changing the picture. Stick to the same picture Shivananda Ji Maharaj said and Tulsidas Ji said, or Devata Chittana Darahi. And strengthen and feed the mental image through repeated practice of visualization and constant meditation on the form. Do not bother yourself if you are not able to have perfect visualization of the picture of the Lord with closed eyes. Continue your practice vigorously and regularly. You will succeed. What is wanted is prema for the Lord. Prema Jyoti Jalao. Cultivate this more and more. Let it flow unceasingly, spontaneously. Even by worshipping a Pratima, Ishvara is very much pleased. How? The Pratima is made up of 5 elements, and 5 elements are created by God, and here in the idol, 5 elements constitute the body of the Lord. The idol remains as an idol, but the worship goes to the Lord. There is nothing wrong in worshipping an idol in the beginning. You must superimpose God and His attributes on the idol. You must think of the Antaratma that is hidden in the idol. Hear the divine whisper in silence. Realize the power of faith. Feel God's sustaining grace. Build the shrine of love or the temple of devotion in your heart. Enter into silence. Enjoy the life transcendent. God is just, or God does justice. He punishes the evildoers to turn them into the right path. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chatushkrata. To correct and educate them, He does not want His children to repeat the same bad act. This is His mercy. This is His love. This was spoken about in the Bhagavan Sai Baba Pur. Lord Krishna gives a strong word of assurance in Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter. O son of Kunti, know thou for certain that my devotee perisheth never. That means my devotee will never perish. Always be cheerful. Where is the room for lamentation when you are the devotee of God? God will bestow every gift. What is required may not be what is needed, wanted, but what is required for His bhaktas. Go on with your sadhana. The gopis of Vrindavan were wonderful devotees of Lord Krishna. They totally surrendered themselves to the Lord. Lord Krishna played on his flute on a moonlit night. The gopis rushed forth immediately to where their Bhagavan was. Their minds were absorbed in Krishna. They forgot everything when they heard the flute. The lane of love is extremely narrow indeed. It cannot contain two. जहां मैं वहां हरि नाही, जहां हरि वहां मैं नाही. Where there is I, the ego, the Lord is not. Where there is the Lord, my ego, I ceases to be. What Tulsidas ji says about staying one with one Hanuman, one God, also applies in the path of jnana to sticking with one Guru in the path of jnana. Our sage from Rishikesh has not left this topic also, this truth also uncovered, and writes, do not dig here and there shadow pits for getting water. The pits will dry up soon. Dig up a very deep bit in one place. Centralize all your efforts here. You will get good water that can supply you throughout the year. Even so, try to imbibe thoroughly the spiritual teachings from one Guru, one preceptor alone. Drink one from one Guru. Sit at his feet for years. There is no use wandering from one Guru to another Guru out of curiosity, losing faith in a short time. Do not have the ever-changing mind. He becomes very crude and he says, do not have the ever-changed mind of a prostitute. Follow the spiritual instructions of one Guru. Let us conclude by taking glimpses from Brother Sundar's talk, where our Devata, he comes to the practical level, most practical level in day-to-day level in present age. And for what Tulsidas ji has told, that don't focus your mind. Chitta here is mind, not the chitta of the manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Don't focus your mind on other devatas. Here, at a practical level, Sundar says, we have so many devatas in our daily life, worldly life. TV is our devata. Our relations are our devatas. Our food, clinging to our chosen food is our devata. The mobile itself is our devata. And all these devatas are planted in the chitta, the mind. In such a situation, if we bring in so many gods, then the ultimate God gets diluted between these so many gods. Okay, focus on one God, one deity. In jnana, follow one guru. Do not turn towards many deities, many rituals, many gurus. At a subtler level, it means you be in the world, you lead your life sojourn, you may be in touch with so many objects in the world, but don't make all of them your devatas. Don't be obsessed with all the worldly objects. Focus on one God, one Guru, one path with one single pointed goal, God realization. What happens then if you do this? Hanumat say sabad sukh karai. All joy is derived from Hanuman. The ultimate joy is attained on realizing Hanuman or realizing God or realizing self. Through lot of struggles, lot of obstacles, which Brother Sundar compares with the flow of a turbulent river. The river has to undergo all the turbulence, it has to go through all the mountains, ups and downs and twists and turns, but once the river merges with the ocean, there is no separate river existing to face any struggle. It is all one ocean, one self, one Brahman. Ultimate joy or Brahma Ananda is experienced only on realizing God, Hanuman in the Chopai, or God or self within. Throughout the physical existence of Bhagavan, Swami, those who have remained with Bhagavan, and it doesn't mean that they should not visit the other altars or other temples, but in the physical form, accepting only and only Swami as Bhagavan, and there is no problem in going to many sages. What impact Sage Shivanandaji has had on me, on him, though he has stuck to one Swami from his childhood, there is no harm. But when it comes to devotion, accept the teachings of everyone. Okay, but when it comes to devotion, when it comes to single-pointed devotion, when it comes to surrendering, one God. And in the spiritual sadhana, one Guru. And those who have stuck to that one God, Swami, even after 24th April 2011, instead of going to so many who have declared themselves as gross forms, subtlest forms, and so many other nomenclature of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, or have been flocking so many other ashramas, trying desperately to see Bhagavan in so many other masters. Ultimately, that permanent, that joy, that ananda, will they ever attain? It is a question which they only can answer at the end. Whereas, if even after Swami's passing away, or devata chittana darahi, if you have been steadfast, holding on to Swami's feet and holding on to his teachings, holding on to him as your God, and concentrated and focused intensely on Bhagavan, there is a possibility that Swami does a sacrifice which he always loves to do, that perform that sacrifice of taking you beyond his physical form and merging you into his, from Sai Rupa, merging you to Sai Tattva. Ultimate joy. Jai Shri Ram. जय बोलो हनुमान की, जय सीता माता की, जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साईं बाबा।